not born for things like
at
that.
all.
I mean,
What would you say?
If you want to disconnect people, you don't wait till Christmas and then you do disconnect.
But they're looking for money.
That's the only way they can put you in a tight corner, because people will come and visit you and it'll be very disappointing not to have your washroom having water and all that.
When crisis comes, you wait till perhaps when the other guys are doing their thing, then you can do it. But don't do that. It's not good.
Yeah, Christ has not been born just yet.
Yeah, so
but the process
is preparation for it. It's not that labor.
Yeah.
I mean, getting to Terry and West should go into the labor room. So they are just trying to keep you in a tight corner, so that you pay now. Because if they wait and give you,
no, you see, I totally disagree with that kind of
idea
strategy. I mean, why do you wait till?
Is it blackmail?
It is. Okay. Christmas, when you know people are at home, they need water, and then you come and say that you want to disconnect. What kind of things?
But why have you also used it and not paid for it?
Oh, please. Sometimes they don't come to collect it. Forget it.
No, but when they don't come, you have to go.
There are situations where you go where? For 10 years, you go to live in a place, there's no water bill, they can't even locate the meter to bill you. And then when eventually something happens and they get a name to some account, then they ask you to come and pay everything. How do you pay that? Like 5,000 cedis for water bill. How
but Bryce, in that case, whose fault really is it? It's a shared responsibility. It's different if you're not getting the water and you're billed for it. But you are getting it, and you know it's a commodity, it's a utility which you have to pay for. So in as much as ECG may not have put in a meter, or they cannot find a meter, you know eventually they're going to have to bill you some way, somehow. So you make sure that they find it on time when you realize that it is not there, so that at least you have set the balance, because we know that you wouldn't want them to come and give you, a lump sum to cough up, because you can't do that. And so it will become a shared responsibility to make sure that
if they fail to bill you, they cannot come and say that we failed to bill you for 5 years, so we've totaled the 5-year bill. This is it, take it and pay. No. The two of you sit down and you agree that I can pay 100 cedis a month. That's it. That's the point I'm making.
But eventually you will pay. Whether you like it or not, you will pay. That's what I'm saying. That is wrong, because if you sit down, it's a
if I live in a house and I'm connected to water and I get to use water and electricity every month, and yet nobody brings me a bill, doesn't it hit me that, hey, Charlie, where is the water coming from?
It does.
It's not the right thing. It's not the right scenario.
You go there, and the water company can't even find a name to the meter you have.
Exactly.
It takes about 2-3 months. Okay. Meanwhile, you're using water. People who live there, they go to them, where is the bill to locate the account? They can't find it. Whose fault is it?
That certainly is ECG's fault.
And then they bring you a bill piled up, and they expect you to pay off that. No,
with a reconnection fee sometimes.
Yes,
that's the painful part. Yesterday I saw a picture of what looked like a cockerel or a cock, and it was complaining that, well, during Christmas, the birth of Christ, it is killed. During Easter, the death of Christ is killed. Even at the resurrection, it is also killed. And the cock is wondering, was it because when Peter was betraying Jesus, he spoke, which is why now, he's
suffering.
He's suffering. He doesn't see.
That's unfortunate. But I mean, if I was, well, I'm still an animals' rights advocate, and I think looking at that, even though it sounds funny, it's something that it's sad. Why should the cock suffer like that? Can't we change it to other animals and give them a rest period? Just like how we give our farmland some fallow period. Because every time the cock, they have no, but some people suffering is too much.
Some people actually chew the eggs.
Exactly.
The
so,
children.
I mean, their whole life cycle
the whole
is to
generation.
breed and be killed.
All right, good morning. It's a Tuesday morning. Is it Tuesday or Wednesday?
It's Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday, Chief.
Tuesday. All right, Tuesday morning. Welcome to the show once again. It's another wonderful packed day. We're getting closer and closer to Christmas, and so guess you're getting more and more excited. And the show packed once again. And we'll definitely be letting you know what's in this morning on Daily Rant. We're still talking about the earthquake.
Did you feel it?
Is it a fufu? Is it a fufu? Somebody said it was the different mountains of fufu that people were pounding every now and then.
At that time.
Yeah. No, not at that time. Over time.
Oh, right. So they are causing the earth to be unstable.
Yeah, shaking the earth. Because actually the digestion of carbohydrates is supposed to start from the mouth. Yeah. We started from the mortar and epistle.
Before we come back and come and revisit
so this morning,
but it was interesting because I thought I felt it. But in a split second, I asked, could it be a truck that was passing by and, shook the ground? But then I realized it was a widespread thing.
The Wejak area. And within 5 seconds, you could actually feel it. Wow. If your building had not been properly put up, I'm sure it could have come down. You could actually feel it.
Wow.
It shook.
Well, that talk will be had on, Daily Rant. We certainly will talk about it. Then we'll also talk about creation of OT region when they're out there to find out what their views are. But the people on the ground don't seem to understand what this creation of regions are. And, we're going into getting the referendum to make sure that either they want the region created or not. And the people down there don't even understand what is going on. So how really are we going to be able to make sure that they buy into the idea of wanting or not wanting a new region? I think some of the education has to go.
I know that there have been some form of advocacy. My good friend James Obek, who he started off with a lawyer who passed, but they've been at it talking. Yesterday I saw a document that is giving the duration you have to travel from the supposed OT or proposed OT region to the regional capital, and how long it took, and even the district capital. So they are making a strong case for it. But then not just the OT region, in the other places, Western, North, everywhere, where the referendum will happen in a few weeks. People don't even understand what a referendum means. Exactly. And this is why we would want to call out the National Commission for Civic Education. Sadly, we would have people want to blame the media and say, well, the media is not talking about it. But who must lead the charge? Our Constitution gives somebody the responsibility first and funds that person's organization to do advocacy and education. In fact, the Electoral Commission is also supposed to perform some of this and not just organize elections. So does the Electoral Commission talk about public education regarding electoral issues? Does the NCCE, the National Commission for Civic Education, talk about these things? It's embarrassing that we're preparing to have a referendum and in 6 regions, and a lot of people don't even know what a referendum means, but Johnny, or what we are going to have the referendum about.
If someone wants to blame the media, I would like to ask one question. Has the media closed or shut its doors to those who want to talk about it? No, we haven't. So for me, I mean, the doors are open, and so if the media is interested. Well,
I think that the media has become easily blameable. So of course, somebody can't do his or a job, they find say, oh, we blame the media, they are showing too many movies. Should we be talking politics all day?
Okay.
No. Anyway, but on Chamber, we'll also talk about tenant to rent issues, because getting into Christmas where people have to actually either pay their rent or plan paying the rent in January, there's going to be a lot of issues, and we'll be touching on that. Then also shopping at Kantamanto this Christmas with a budget of 200 CDs. Is that feasible? What will you get out of that?
Oh, plenty. It depends on what you want to buy. I mean, you can 200 CD, you can get something for the kids, get some food for the house. And you see, if ECG can promise people of consistent power, I think food is on the market now. You can buy a lot and store them. The tomatoes, the cabbages, the carrot, those things that you need for the kids for Christmas. So if the refrigerator is working and ECG won't put it off, I guess you can buy
in bulk.
These days, it's not just ECG. I think that there are very fantastic twins out there, ECG and Ghana Water. Because
they work hand in hand.
Yes, hand in glove, actually. The light goes off. A few minutes, the pipe is off as well, and so you are stuck.
I mean, Ghana Water Company is like the, Kakra, because if penny doesn't go, Kakra cannot come. So when the lights go off, they will give the excuse that, yes, they can't pump the water.
So I'm thinking, we've all been complaining, and for me, it doesn't make sense that I go and take my card, go and buy ECG credit, say 100 CDs, and I've prepaid for the credit, and I come and put it down, and the meter is off. It doesn't make sense.
Oh God, you have paid for it already.
Between me and ECG, our contract is that I buy, you supply. Now I have gone to buy the credit. I have it on my card, and my light is off.
But what you fail to recognize is they will supply at their opportune moment, not yours.
No.
That's what it is.
So
that is how the agreement.
So why do you have to
read that part of the agreement? And so you buy and store. It's like the ants. store for the rainy season. When we deliver, you receive. That's all he's asking.
Do you know?
It doesn't make sense.
There is something I got wind of yesterday. I think that it's quite interesting. Parliament approved the 600 million part of the 2 billion Sino-Hydro deal yesterday.
Right.
In the course of the deliberations, I got to know that what happens, which I am told is industry practice, is that apparently those who supervise our road projects, and I don't know if it includes other projects apart from road.
Okay.
What they do is that the supervisors sometimes, I'm told not all the time, sometimes sit at the office. And then the contractor, after completing, let's say, a bridge or a culvert or a portion of the road, will take a photograph and come and show it to Johnny, who is the supervisor, and say, Johnny, this is the completed project. And then Johnny would pick his pen or her pen and approve it.
Yeah.
And I felt all of a sudden my heart started pumping.
Why? Why were you surprised?
That's why
but is that not the reason why roads that are completed get washed off in 3 days?
But do you also realize? Do you also realize that at the tendering process, when they put in a tender, they are supposed to actually bring when you're selected for the tender, bring samples of the materials you would use
in the
to construct the road.
And they take photographs.
Your bitumen, your asphalt, your granite, whatever it is you use.
And they take photographs.
No,
they don't even bring it.
So you're supposed to bring it.
Right.
What some people do, some people take photographs. Some people actually bring the elements. And then when they get onto the site, because there's no supervisor, they use an inferior one.
I was shocked. Yes, I was, because I said, so I asked an industry person, is that what happened? He said, yes, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have the project supervisor there at the office of the contractor, but sometimes the officer sits in Accra, the project is in Tamale, so the contractor, because he wants to raise certificate to pay for his money, he takes photograph and sends it to you and say, this is the job you asked me to do, I have finished, look at it, and then it's approved. Yeah. I was shocked yesterday.
So, but if the supervisor is getting his 3,000 CDs for the weekend,
and by sitting in his office,
he's not going anywhere.
That is industry practice.
He just says, oh, chief, give me your mobile money number, and he wires the money to you.
I know it's something that happens, and I don't think it's quite on the smaller scale. I think it's quite on the broader scale, because many people I know who are into construction will testify to this.
One of the issues that the minority is raising in Parliament about this loan is that photographs alone runs into thousands of dollars.
Right. Yeah.
And that was why I was taken aback. I said, but why won't we pay money for the supervisor to go there? Because he has the technical...
But who told you there's no money for it? The Highway Authority has those pickups, rugged pickups that they can use. If the Highway Authority lacks those things, they should tell us.
So why rely on photographs?
Well, but you see, the supervisor has a supervisor. Is the supervisor working? That's the question. Right. Because here at TV3, if you're supposed to do a certain thing and you don't do it, well...
Anyway, guys,
let me quickly make a birthday wish to Fatima Ujor of Queensland International School, Sakumuno in Accra here. You teach class 3 Red Bulls. You are 40. Wishing you a happy birthday from here at TV3. All the best. We'll be there at the party anyway. We'll call to find out where is the party. Fatima, have a happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
When we come back, I'd like for us to talk about the insurance companies. People are beginning to complain about them, about the payment of claims that are mature.
They are not coming.
And I had occasion to make a call to one of the insurance companies, and they promised that they were going to pay the money because the policy about 7 years matured, and the person was going to take the claim. This was like in May. And it was promised that, oh, your claim will be paid in the next month. But when December has not been paid. And when I called 2 weeks ago, they said, oh, by Monday to be paid, please don't publish the story. And up to now. So
they're waiting for Christmas.
We should perhaps start naming and shaming them. Right. What the Insurance Commission said, that some of them were promising relatively higher things and delivering nothing, is actually happening. The insurance companies is actually happening. So we'll put their names out. If you owe people, pay.
Especially in Christmas, when people probably are looking forward to
Can you imagine?
All right,
my policy is matured. We're in Christmas.
Exactly,
I want to choose more this thing.
Anyway, but let's step out and rant. We're talking about the imminent earthquake that we've been warned about. Are we ready, or is Ghana just going to face another of the tragedies and just come and mourn and cry about it? Let's step out and rant.
This is what it feels like. at my door. This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like.
Good morning and welcome to Daily Rant here on Newday. My name is George Quinn. We are live on DSTV channel 279. And the Ghana Geological Survey Authority is warning of an imminent earthquake following strings of earth tremors which hit part of the capital on Sunday. And according to the authority, the fault lines are active. It means that the earthquake can happen anytime. And somewhere in 1939, there was an earth tremor and 17 people died. 133 people also sustained injuries. And the seat of government then, which was the Osu Castle, had its roof ripped off. And so the question is, are we ready as a nation for this earthquake? This is Daily Rant. Let's keep talking.
If that would be the case, instead of to lose lives, I'm for be wounded. They should also give the place for using it is another thing. Because if you know, say very well, anything that's spilling, we just spilling and bagging them. No, say spilling to move through. Now I'm for sitting now. Now we still go to the government and say I don't think I see it happens. So to me, people should listen to them. If it will be okay, government also have to come in and say, if those who have their genuine houses, they can compensate them and give them another place.
We live in a system where individual be able to make a assase. No way see Diane or Pewoso. Me, my personal view is that the Bayanka buying CZ assase organ in a nanya bindia. Will be our pass and work or rentibi. What I mean,
you should say very difficult.
That would be the only solution because as we sit now, will be our work or assase. Probably what 3 different chiefs were at your moon carry. None now and some catching say earthquake benton too. It's going to be very difficult. You take a second look at our lantern system. And yes, I saw earthquake no. A beba be coming for. I buy by Yana the napku. Equa coche a friend saying water bottle ne doormat.
That is why I had here.
And also by you know and yes,
Nadmo.
But may not to be honest with you, say I didn't say Mumma was assassination because one is bad. You have to be very serious because some be a diagro because say critical. No, we have to go and rely on their buying. So say I say no, we have to do this into them. And to me, no, we shouldn't joke with this issue. We hear all the networks among for air factor areas, me say, so to prevent that, say, if only say a buying bit my for there, maybe I ever say ain't we should do that quickly so that they should listen.
Okay, who was earthquake prone area? I know. Did you feel that tremor on Sunday?
I personally experienced it. Now I was in bed, like I was watching telly, and I felt the shaking. And you didn't come and so. But the question here will be say a bedding.
You can say 2 hours too.
You can say 2 hours too. I mean, say make how near bra me fair once and a missy sad dying. Well, and yet personally, why not say no matter be on my a what value chain unipa wonkwa. A bra what brainy a yin no. Sebi a ye wu nipa no wo bre and out the year sa property no wu na wu ya yes wu ya unim dia wo benya enti of course yes but a burden so kakra because so also trans na wo drink say having gone through all this pain ne you have to just forgo it. Except that yeah forgo ni keke ana say aban e be so ya sen aboyen relocation and all of that. All of these questions will have to be answered.
Me, I have to salute the media general.
Thank you so much.
Yes, we have to do make sure say I buy a phone because in the amount of work I say be brave. Me be brave school because I won't follow Musro. Yes, I'm so. He said no. Don't say your attitude, sir. Bibi ba na a boy who na sate kasa 2-3 days now, sir. If you just even talk about the eclipse of the sun. About 2 days, the mobile could say about we and NASA. Okay. We don't even prepare. Okay. So now, our buying have to do something about this issue.
Okay, somewhere in 1939, there was an earth tremor. It killed 17 people, and 133 prior. And now seat of government here, Osu Castle, and then Ruth say. So authority said there should be a cause of worry. And see, I'm just imagining, see,
when him say metiano me assembly okay who bomb you who try am ever for coffee assembly na make a chono so I am
you're on a time bomb actually.
Yes, we are living, and you see what we would want the geological survey department to do is to at least what can it try so far. That is how I will say what can it try. We don't know the actuals.
But it can happen anytime.
It can happen.
The fault lines are active.
You see, they are. It is not fair for us, the people living within these catchment areas, for you to say they can be. America, you bet me about it. Hurricanes, other natural usually there are proper timelines and all of that.
Yeah. Those machines are obsolete. How can you read?
So that is the point. One of my channel, and it said, "Oh, my proper updates on what is going to happen." Then we also know how to prepare. But who kind of charge are? Is that what they are telling me? Some number from James and coffee. You know, it's not fair to us. We see any other year. Every time they are weather updates, they are telling you about what is going to happen with timelines. Those are the things that we need.
I'm sure we'll get there. Do you think we'll get
there? In fact, when it comes to geology and weather and all of those things, now you for no need equipment. No, then you know, say I buy and prioritize here all into the equipment. But let me also be quick to add, because I've done a little bit of geography. Earthquake here, geographers all over the world don't predict it. And to say whether
they can warn.
What they know is that there are, your friend saying there are lines.
Yeah.
Our monim says, "Sa area way your active earthquake sa area way your dormant earthquake."
Yeah, sure.
What I know is that you can say baby active earthquake, it may happen within 100 years time. But dormant ones, they are 1,500 years now. After about Quincy, Intina Omun to me can say na so chana and earthquake ni besi no. Inti earthquake ni dey nya dia bit me predict. But na some me person me can say relocation no. Me dey enkafuto am man say wo means na why relocate, because ye hwe Ghana buying record of relocation na enya dey Ghana buying a bit me relocating.
At least I know Bui authority relocate to me see 99 buildings.
Ni percent na wo. Ni pa do sen na wo. I don't know to me relocate so the Mengumara for ne.
But I know some earthquake prone areas have been mentioned. I know say Journey at that place. So I'm just anticipating say all these people living there would advise themselves. Honestly, that's what I think.
Honestly, I never knew about like New Botiano being an earthquake prone area.
Honestly, what giant? Oh.
Yeah, that area. That's why I also.
Let's say top one.
No, yeah, but some way down no hills. So, but no.
Okay. In the water.
No. I am in the valley.
Okay.
No valley. But what in all of these things, so, if we are talking about compensations, we are talking about compensations in billions of cedis or dollars. I'm telling you, because if you know the kind of houses we have in our area there. You can estimate the price, and we have a lot of such houses around this catchment area. We have the West Hills Mall. Of course, the West Hills Mall is sitting right at Donkona, where until it is no joke thing that we are talking about here. You understand me? And what I feel, they say, yes, the government will have to look at it. But I don't think, say, at this point, the government of Ghana will be able to support everybody within this catchment area to relocate. Okay. I have my doubt. I live within but we have to be, I say, more realistic.
Okay.
Are you getting me? We have to be realistic. Because look, we are talking about houses in the numbers of 3,000 to 5,000, I can say, because from if we are talking about Kaswa, now look, any small area, any small catchment, it's huge.
Okay. Well,
it's spanning about 5 to 6 constituencies. Are you getting me? It's spanning about, say, 5 districts. So it is no joke thing.
Okay. So yeah, the Geological Survey Authority has warned of an imminent earthquake, and we will just urge people or residents living in these prone areas to more like relocate, I must say. And then there have also been calls on government to ensure it provides the authority with all these seismic equipment for them to operate effectively. Let's know what you also think watching home. Just log on to our social media platforms. On Facebook is TV3 Ghana, and on Twitter is News TV3. Thanks for watching. Good morning.
Welcome back to the show. Now, a quick look at what's happening on the front pages of the newspapers I have here. Daily Graphic stays on the earthquake warning. The big caption says, danger, earthquake looms in Accra. Geological Survey warns. A photograph of the Acting Director General of the Ghana Geological Survey Authority is here and talks about what to expect. The National Policy Summit opens in Takoradi. It's also here. And 1 killed, 3 injured in Bole chieftaincy dispute, and the ADB-NIB measure, we are told, cancelled. Daily Graphic has all the stories. You can see the photograph here. Now, the Daily Guide, NDC didn't pay my ex-gratia. President Kufuor, he recently celebrated his 80th birthday. Now, new regions report out. Nana commissions $40 million diaper factory, and 4 British girls sexually assaulted at Kokrobite here in Accra. The finder says discord over RTI bill, Parliament leadership provides conflicting assurances, coalition calls for resumption of consideration. We also have, I don't remember whether cocoa and tea fertilizer was tested. That's a witness in the Dr. Opuni case here. The curfew on Bole is also giving some report on the finder. The Ghanaian Times, we will pass RTI bill in 2019. That's the vice president there. The coalition has been asking for the bill to be passed. The vice president says in 2019 we'll do that. And then government imposes curfew on Bole. 2 killed, others injured, vehicles, houses touched. That's the story. And the BNFT talks about local partner in every oil block proves a tough call. That's the story captured by the BNFT. Government plans automobile policy to drive sustainable investments. Some business stories on the BNFT. Let's take a quick break. When I come back, I'll tell you who my guests are, who then start our conversation this morning. All right, and thanks so much for your time this morning with us. And I told you the newspapers are ready, headlines, the Daily Guide, the Daily Graphic, the Finder, the BNFT, and the Ghanaian Times, all of them ready this morning. My guest to do the talking, the National Communication Officer of the NDC is here with me, Sami Jemfi, newly elected Communication Officer. Sami, good morning.
Good morning,
and
Brad.
First, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Hope you're doing great.
By God's grace, we're managing.
Great time for, thanks for joining us this morning. We're expecting the Asin South Member of Parliament, a member of the NPP, Reverend John Intimfojo, to be with us. But before he joins us, let's quickly touch on this one. Daily Graphic has a story, danger, earthquake looms in Accra. And Sami, this is a warning, and how should people who live in these areas take this warning?
I think it's a bit frightening to hear of this, development. I haven't read the story, but I know that the Ghana Meteorological Service and the other state agencies who are in charge of that are working on the matter. It is important for them to in cases like this, assure the affected people that measures are being put in place to evacuate them and to ensure that we deal with this problem so that the ramifications will not become dire for us. We're in development, but these are some of the natural, catastrophic events that befalls us every now and then. But it is important. I'm happy that we've been able to predict that this is what is going to happen ahead of time. And I'm sure that is as a result of the work done by the Meteorological Service and the other, the Geological Service Department, and so on and so forth. For me, it brings to the fore the need for us to strengthen these institutions so that they can deliver on their mandate, because at the heart of their mandate is the protection of life and the safety of our people. And so, Bright, we need to take things like this very seriously and ensure these institutions to do their work so that ahead of time we can have these predictions and take steps to ameliorate some of these problems. And so maybe you have read a story, you can let me know what government is doing about the situation, the plans and the measures being put in place to ensure that we...
those who live in these areas.
Yes, we find... we relocate the people living in these areas and deal with this problem in such a way that it wouldn't bring any unfortunate happenings, in the country. Thank you.
All right, we'll touch more on that later on, but let's turn attention to the Ghanaian Times this morning. The Ghanaian Times is reporting of the House debating the Sino-Hydro deal. We're told that the minority has questioned what they said was the over-bloated cost components of the Sino-Hydro deal. In the view of the minority, the cost for components like the project office, photographs, client services, amongst others, were outrageous. At the passage of the commercial agreement resolution for VAT facility in Parliament yesterday, the minority said the cost of the components were a rip-off. So some of the components the minority wanted reduced include a $700,000 client service on the Ofuase project, which include over $600,000 for the preparation of the project site. Now, the minority ranking member on the Roads and Transport Committee, Kwame Agboja, alleged that as much as $30,000 has been earmarked for progress photographs of the project. Again, Mr. Agboja is suggesting that the memoranda stating out the terms and conditions of the facility had no legal opinion of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, neither did it have a financial impact assessment from the Finance Minister as required by law. Now, the project stated under the facility, Agboja said, had no value for money audit and were without public procurement authorities' approval. So those are some of the issues that the minority raised. Daily Graphic also has the story. Let me welcome my next guest, the Member of Parliament for the Assin South constituency, a member of the NPP, Reverend John Intim. Good morning.
Good morning, Bart.
I hope you're doing great.
By the grace of God. It's been a while. Yourself?
Yes, I'm also good. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. And a good morning to my brother, Sammy.
Sammy Genfi, right. Okay, so let's continue the conversation this morning. Sammy, let me give you the bite whilst Reverend settles down in here. The minority says it is not against the project, but they have raised some concerns about it.
I would have wished that you gave me the opportunity to respond to the earlier story. That is, if you wish.
Yeah, I'll get you the chance, but let's move on. I'll come back to you. 700,000 service client service on your Ofuase project, 600,000 for preparation of the project site. Again, 30,000 for progress photographs. It talks about no legal opinion of the Attorney General, Minister of Justice, and also there were issues with public procurement authorities' approval for the project. These are the red flags, as Daily Graphic put it, that the minority is raising. But before we talk about that, Reverend, the Daily Graphic story, danger earthquake looms in Accra. How exactly should residents in these areas take this warning from the Geological Survey?
Yeah, good morning once again, and good morning to our esteemed viewers, particularly those doing the viewing from our South constituency. It is important to recognize that all the areas that have already been mentioned, sadly, are areas that some geological works have already revealed how vulnerable they are to such earthquakes and tremors. And one would have thought that this information is not a new information. It's not a new revelation that is coming. Even prior to the sighting of these houses, those areas had always been marked as areas that are earthquake prone. And it is so surprising that you find such, flagged areas springing up with buildings every day. And my question is, which authority is in charge to ensure that even if people are willing to, ignore clear warnings, signs that have clearly gone ahead to ensure that to signal that these areas are vulnerable to such earthquakes and tremors, and then day in, day out, people still want to site buildings there. Is there no regulation? Is there no enforcement of laws to ensure that citizens are protected in a manner that even if you are willing to put up a structure in an area with your own money, we want to protect you. So we are telling you, no way are we going to give you permits. But the question again is, how many buildings in Ghana built up have actually been built with recourse to right permitting? And so we all as a people wanting to contribute to nation building and interested in our own public safety must also adhere to laws. But now, enough of the lamentation. Buildings have already been sited in such areas. What we can do now is for NADMO and other relevant agencies whose mandate it is to ensure that in such unlikely events, we take precautions. We have been forewarned, and so we need to take all the necessary precautions. If there are some trainings and awareness that had to be given specifically to the residents in those areas, that is very important. That's a matter of urgency. Those engagements will have to quickly begin to take them through some safety measures in the case of evacuation in any unlikely event before any disaster, perish the thought, should happen. And so that will be my take on that, and also to say that NADMO should, and as a matter of extension, Ministry of the Interior would have to hold ourselves in readiness. Every preparation that we need to put in place to ensure that as a country we are adequately prepared and resilient to withstand the shocks of such unlikely, however unexpected it is, there's some level of prediction there, and so we have to hold ourselves in readiness. There are other jurisdictions where sadly they have suffered some forms of national disasters, earthquakes, tremors, fire outbreaks. In California recently, there were bush burning that claimed lots of lives, hundreds of lives. Hundreds are still missing. But you saw how swift the response was, and even though they couldn't recover a lot of the destruction. So we are expecting that as a nation we would also build that capacity in readiness for such. But going forward, somebody must be able to stop people from building further in such areas.
I am grateful. Right, so let's touch on the Times Daily Graphic story on the Sino-Hydro deal. The Deputy Road Minister has responded to issues raised by the minority in relation to the $600,000 project site expenditure. He said that it included securing the land to host the project offices, and Mr. Diomi says that land is expensive to acquire. That's why $600,000. He goes on to say that it also included laboratory to test the soil and other construction materials to ensure the right materials that match the texture of the soil. So that's the reaction. Sammy, let me start the conversation with you. These are concerns raised by the minority. Now, how do they affect value for money audit of this particular project?
Brian, thank you very much. You see, the Sino-Hydro deal is about the provision of some priority infrastructure projects for the country. And so ordinarily, the expectation would be that all political parties and stakeholders will support such a laudable initiative. Unfortunately, we in the NDC are vehemently opposed to this deal. We are not against the construction of roads and other critical infrastructure projects for our people. But we believe that in all such projects, the national interest must be upheld, and we must ensure value for money. That is the bottom line. Unfortunately, this Sino Hydro deal is nothing of that. The deal is extremely expensive. Extremely expensive. Lacks value for money. Figures have been ridiculously inflated, and it is nothing but a ripoff. And that is why we are raising these serious concerns, so that the people of Ghana will know that President Akufo-Addo and the NPP are not committed to protecting the public purse. You see, this is an EPC contract, an engineering, procurement, and construction contract. And the total cost of the EPC contract is $497 million. 497. Out of that, government of Ghana will be contributing 74.5 million as owner's contribution. And Sino Hydro will be borrowing an amount of 422 million Ghana cedis for and on behalf of the government of Ghana. The cost of that 422 million, Sino Hydro contribution alone is almost $150 million, which is approximately
the cost of that loan.
The cost of the loan alone. That is, if you look at the breakdown, is made up of $4.1 million management fee for all the 10 lots, because the project is divided into 10 lots. It has $2.6 million for commitment fee, $62.2 million for insurance premium, and close to $80 million, for interest. So if you aggregate that together, you get about 149 point something million. That is why it's approximately $150 million. Now, right, if Ghana was your private company, will you borrow a loan of $422 million and spend about 35% of that amount to service that loan? $150 million as the cost of the loan. The loan. If you put together interest, management fees, commitment fees, insurance premium, $150 million. Okay, when it gets to your time, you can explain to me and the listeners, viewers, why that is not the case. But the documents are here, you understand? Right. Secondly, if you look at this project, the figures for the different components of the projects are quite frightening and scary. Under this Sino Hydro deal, a kilometer of road in the western and central region is costing the nation averagely $1.2 million US. And maybe I can quickly show you that if you look at page 5 of the Finance Committee's report on the loan deal, government is projecting to construct 32 kilometers of road in the western region and the Cape Coast area. These are the inner city roads. Right. And it is costing us $46,978,061 US. If you divide that figure by 32 kilometers, averagely you get a figure of $1.2 million. That is outrageous, because not too long ago when we were in power, we were constructing that same kilometer of road at about $250,000, 1.5 million Ghana cedis. You understand? And the NPP in opposition then told us that that was highly inflated and padded. That was, corruption and so on and so forth. So 2 years down the line, you come into office and you spend $1.2 million, equivalent to 6 million Ghana cedis, which is equivalent to 60 billion old Ghana cedis on a kilometer of road. Now, quite apart from that, you look at the allocations for photography, common photography. Government, and these are documents for just lot 1 and lot 2 of the phase 1 of the project. There are 10 lots, but I will, for the purposes of time, right, I will only allude to figures for photography for the lot 1 and lot 2, of the project. If you look at lot 1, you realize that government has allocated a whooping $106,000 US for progress photographs for just lot 1 of the project. $106,000, which is equivalent to about 530,000 Ghana cedis. If you look at lot 2, they have allocated a whooping $141,000 US for just photography. This is mind-boggling. This is naked thievery. It means that for lot 1 and lot 2 alone, In total, government will be spending in excess of 1.2 million Ghana cedis, more than 12 billion old Ghana cedis on just photography. And somebody must be providing answers.
The figure at 30,000.
No, these are the documents. You can see that for yourself.
No, I'm not putting the figure, but I'm
if you
just
look at
saying
this,
that
phase 1 lot 2, Kumasi Inner City Roads. The item code is A229. Provide progress photographs. If you look at the amount, it is $106,000. That is equivalent to some 530,000 Ghana cedis. You understand? You look at the site camps, the contractor site camps that we spoke of. Honorable Abuja yesterday alluded to the site camp on the Akimboda of Wase Chrome Road. But if you look at some of the other figures for example, the Kumasi Inner City Roads, government has allocated in excess of $1 million for a mere contractor site. That is for the Kumasi Inner City Roads alone. $1 million equivalent to about 5 million Ghana cedis, 50 billion old Ghana cedis for just a contractor site. We know what goes into the construction of a contractor, site for some of these projects. And so the figures are outrageous. They have been ridiculously inflated. And that is worrying for us because we believe that we must put the resources of state to judicious use. This is not how you protect the public purse.
For instance, let me start with the transport minister, the road minister, who says that he claims that the 1.2 million per kilometer argument, his argument against that is that the roads are not the same. There are places where it could be a clay soil, there are marshy areas, and so you need more work. This is an argument that we've heard in the past, where projects are said that, well, MTN has built the same structure for this, and now it is this. Now, is that his defense? That defense that he makes, that 1.2 million, you can't use that for every kilometer of road because there are engineering differences. Is that something you would take?
You see, we are talking about inner city roads. And this is not, just about the Western region, Cape Coast inner city roads. You look at the Sunyani inner city roads, the same thing. You look at the other inner city roads under the project, the same thing. Yes, I understand that in road constructions, because the soil content or the various roads are not the same, there is there is justifiable cause for you to have varied figures for different projects.
Right.
That is something that we all understand. But the variation must not be this, outrageous. If you look at the variation, we were constructing a kilometer of roads in terms of inner city roads at just about 1.5 million Ghana cedis. And you are spending 6 million Ghana cedis on a kilometer of road.
That's not true.
That is worrying. So the variation is what we have a problem with. How do they justify the figures or the monies they have allocated for photography? You understand? All I'm saying is based on the evidence, incontrovertible evidence in these documents. You can take a look for yourself. You have allocated a whooping $141,000 for monthly progress photography alone. You see, right? What this whole, and you know why we are so concerned and worried about this?
Wrap up. Let me go to Reverend.
Yes, I'll wrap up in a minute. This is a deferred payment agreement and a buyer's credit facility. What that therefore means is that it is a loan instrument, okay? And so it's exposed the position of the MPP that this is not a loan, but a barter, agreement, because embedded in the deferred payment agreement is a sovereign guarantee, and you only issue sovereign guarantees for debt instruments. And so they've been exposed on that front. For us as Ghanaians, our concern in this matter is that proceeds from our bauxite, we don't know the specific bauxite deposit that they're talking about, but at least the agreement says proceeds from our natural resources, our bauxite, will be used to defray this loan. And should the proceeds be inadequate for that purpose, government will fall on the taxpayers' money, on our tax revenue, to pay for this. That means that as citizens and not spectators, we have the right to call on government, to ask government, to be realistic in the figures, because so far these figures are outrageous. They have been ridiculously inflated. Clearly, it is a rip-off. You understand? So the point here is that we are not getting value for money in this deal. That is our biggest concern with this. And let me government must address these questions.
Okay, Reverend, let me put these questions. I mean, the issues are clear. First, the 600,000 for the project side. There's also the $30,000 for photographs. So, and several others. Has government done a value for money auditing really in this agreement?
Thank you. On this particular case, I want to set the record straight. When it comes to value for money consideration, it is one factor that is at the heart of the Ghanaian. And we have had precedent sets and some very wrong antecedents that we have seen that were very worrying, that had completely ripped off the nation. And so any project that comes in sight, considering the whooping billions and millions that we have lost, simply because funds that were allocated that could have been used to build 3 times a certain value was used just in one, and there was no justification in the end. Red flags had been raised, and still people ignored it. We can cite an example of the Rich Hospital and the value for money considerations, and how come monies that were even meant for, repairs or renovation in the same sub-Saharan Africa in another country was used to build a similar-sized hospital whose beds capacity were even more. Now, that aside, you recall the Kumasi airport, just a runway renovation was, people were crazy. Were the runway going to be made of gold concrete? The costs were ridiculously, unjustifiably high. These were huge concerns, and I would not even want to go on and remind us of the grief that as a country we suffered at the high value for the neglect for value for money considerations in time past. There's a new regime, and we think that every penny that belongs to the state, a public fund, be it from taxpayers' money, be it proceeds from facilities that are negotiated on behalf of the country, will have to be put to judicious use. I see an attempt for the minority in Parliament, and for that matter, NDC, to play equal, but the facts can never be the same. The public can never be confused. Let's talk about the facts. The facts are there, and I don't know where my brother manufactured these figures, because these are reports I have taken pain. Yes, I'm coming. These are figures I have taken pain to analyze. Now you have even disputed all the figures he mentioned, because you have counter figures in your reportage.
I'm only reviewing
exactly.
the newspaper report.
And you have
so they are not disputed figures.
You have mentioned
the newspapers that figures that I have
for
mentioned.
every figure he mentioned, you have a different figure in your reportage. So is it
the Ghanaian Times has a different
exactly
figure.
Let us put it in perspective.
It's not different in terms of, this is the parliamentary. I'm just reporting.
Exactly, and I'm saying that how come what Ghanaian Times is reporting, which we are discussing, is different from what my good brother is citing here. But let's come to the substance.
The Ghanaian Times report $30,000 for photographs. The graphic reports $30,000 for photographs. So they are not different in any way.
My brother cites something different for that, about 3 times that figure. Exactly, from whatever, not parliamentary. This is not a parliamentary report. This is, I don't know where the source is, but these were not the figures we debated. Now, my brother, when it comes to another value for money consideration, another question, I'll come to a substantive issue. 90% of all the loans procured since independence was protracted by the 8-year NDC regime. And these were facts and figures and statistics that were there, and we proved. And one was praising, and one had always interrogated, what did you use that 90% of the borrowed money to do? Where is that? No, every government does infrastructure. President Mahama, President Mills may have done some infrastructure. Some of them, we see them every morning. But what is a commensurate
Reverend,
correspondence to the 90%?
We don't have a lot of time.
It is relevant.
Now
these are the real concerns.
Okay.
That you borrow so much, you have very little to show for. But we are ensuring that every facility that we are procuring to the very last city is put to a justifiable use. I have taken the pain to analyze from Hansard various facilities, loans, and arrangements that various parliaments, the 5th Parliament, the 4th Parliament, the 6th Parliament, had engaged and ratified, and which are in similar shape and size to that of Sino-Hydro. And they very meticulously took the pain to go through every term and every interest rate, every responsibility that comes with it. And when you do the analysis, when you do the analysis, if you are to apply the same rates to that which we have agreed for Sino-Hydro, is for a 20-year period, it was going to cost Ghana twice as much as it's costing us in this Sino-Hydro deal. And these were approvals that were done some 6 years ago, some 5 years ago, some 4 years ago. The Hansards proved this. And so I'm saying here that, you see, when it comes to cost per kilometer of road, I will be the first to raise a red flag.
How much is it in the Sino-Hydro?
I will be the first to raise a red flag. If there is any attempt, whether by somebody's mistake or whether willfully, for money to be ripped off in estimates that are not accurate, I will be the first to raise the flag. Well, we must protect the public purse and the public funds and put it to judicious use. You see, in engineering, my brother is not an engineer.
Reverend, can we start
I appreciate the challenge. Now, see, in engineering, when you are constructing
roads, I want
roads,
us to deal with the
yes,
issues.
I'm saying
He said that
cost
the
come
cost
on the
per
heels of
kilometer
scope.
is $1.2 million. Is that the case?
Costs come. No, I've disputed these figures.
How much
and
is
even
it?
before I came into dispute, all your two reportages, Daily Graphic, Ghanaian Times.
No, how much is it?
Have disputed
how
the figures my good brother has.
Per
Now, when it comes, let me give you this background.
Okay.
See, in engineering, before you arrive at the cost, you need to consider. You cannot sit behind a computer and just conjure a cost of a road or a building or a structure and then just slap a figure on it. It has to be. The quantity has to be done with recourse to the scope. What material is going in, what scope is going in, even in a specific example of a kilometer of road. It is not every kilometer of road that has the same scope of work. How many drains are even in that kilometer? Are there going to be some culverts? What drains? But what is even the size, the width of is it asphalted? Is it bituminous surfacing? Is it rehabilitation?
So that is the transport minister's argument,
scope,
that it is 1.2 million because the scope of work. So that's why I just want you to. Do you dispute the 1.2 or not?
I have disputed.
It's not 1.2.
I've disputed most of the erroneous figures.
No,
given.
I'm saying that the road minister said that it is 1.2 because of the scope.
One will be missing the point.
And you said it is not the case.
One will be missing the point. You see? Before I even came to respond, you had already mentioned the figures that these two newspapers have mentioned, which were completely at variance with what have been put out here. And I'm telling you that in any case, you see, every cost that is put under our regime, we ensure. We work closely with the technocrats.
But you don't know the figures.
And we ensure that unlike some regimes, when technocrats had done their work.
You don't know the figures, but your suggestion is that every cost to a project is well done, value for money.
And all the considerations were done above board.
Yes.
They were done with strong value for money considerations.
All right.
And Ghana is going to have a very judicious use to every facility procured on their behalf.
Okay, I'll come back to Reverend. Sami, so this is his argument. He says he's not too sure of the figures you are mentioning. He doesn't have the figures, but his assurance is that every project that government is embarking on, value for money has been done, and Ghanaians will be the benefit.
Right, as he was speaking, I could see that you were amused at the submissions because these submissions are very laughable. Very laughable.
No, I mean, don't even go that tangent.
What are we talking about here?
Here?
I quoted the figures. Look at the title of this document. In the second session of the 7th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana, report of the Finance Committee on the deferred payment agreements between the government of the Republic of Ghana, represented by the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Roads and Highways and Sino-Hydro Corporation Limited, setting the terms and conditions of the deferral of payments under the EPC contract agreement in respect of the construction and rehabilitation of selected roads and interchanges in Ghana, Phase 1. That's the document I quoted from. So please, you didn't come here with any documents, you understand? And you see, look at the argument, he says that, the figures you alluded to in the Ghanaian Times report are at variance with my figures. That is a clear misunderstanding of what we are talking about here. The Sino-Hydro deal has 10 laws.
So the Ghanaian Times may be referring to maybe Lot 3, Lot 4, or Lot 5.
Yesterday on,
exactly,
lot,
you understand?
So
you need to know the specific lot we are talking about here. That is why I was very specific that I was referring to phase 1, Lot 2. That's the Kumasi Inner City Roads, where you can see from the table yourself, these are documents from Parliament, where a whooping $106,000.
My brother,
please, when you were speaking, I was here, Reverend. I think you should allow me, in fairness to our viewers, you should allow me to make my point. These are documents from Parliament. You do not dispute facts with mere words. Where are your documents? You are a parliamentarian. You have told viewers how you took the pain to meticulously go through all these figures. Where are your counter figures? Where are your counter figures? And this whole argument about the different scopes of work accounting for this variation is neither here nor there. What about the photography figures? You are spending in excess of 1.2 million Ghana cedis for just Lot 1 and Lot 2. 12 billion old Ghana cedis on just photography, and you are telling us about scope of work. What has scope of work got to do with photography? So you need to get your facts right in this whole discussion. Now, right, you see, he speaks of the NDC inflating projects in the past and all that. That is, you see,
let's stay on this.
No, it's important for me to address that, because you see, our brothers from the MPP are very dishonest and deceitful. This narrative is part of the cocktail of lies that they told the people of this country prior to the 2016 elections. But they've been exposed badly by posterity. The president, when he was opposition leader, accused us that we had spent $10 million on the printing of presidential diaries. Right? Were you not in this country when that allegation was made? He's been in office for 2 years. Has he been able to adduce a scintilla of evidence to buttress that claim?
No, I share in your sentiment.
The president,
nobody has been
please. Nobody is even standing prosecution in relation to any of the projects you spoke of. You see, it is a big shame. Politics is not about mouth. Politics is not about cheap talk. The president accused us of padding and for inflating.
We have people watching.
This is what they do when they lose the argument. They restore to heckling, and you know. But that's fine. It's very unfortunate for a reverend minister to be doing this. But viewers are looking at you. You understand? Viewers are looking at you. You accused us whilst in opposition of inflating the cost of the Ridge Hospital, the Kaswa interchange, the Kumasi airport rehabilitation project, and so on and so forth. The list is endless. You've been in office for 2 years. We are not talking about prosecutions. We are not talking about convictions. Have you been able to adduce a scintilla of evidence to buttress any of those claims you made against us whilst in opposition? So you see, you have no shame. You guys are so dishonest and deceitful. And one would have thought that you would have learnt your lessons by this time. And so let us stop some of these things. Okay. If you think that we inflated projects during our time, deal with that. What we are talking about here is that you guys promised to protect the public purse. But today, you are spending $141,000, $106,000 on just photography. Why are you going to use satellites to take those photographies? No, this is negativity. You understand? And right, he makes the point finally on this issue.
And then we can
he makes the point and come back. That the NDC 90% of our loans were contracted by the actual NDC regime. I don't know what he's talking about specifically. Yes, at the time we were leaving office, the total public debt of the country was about 120 billion Ghana cedis. In only 2 years, they have increased that by a whooping 50 billion Ghana cedis, which is almost half of the debt of Ghana from Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's time to the end. Because from Osajefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's time till the time that we left office in 2016, our public debt, he's been heckling me, but I think that he should go in order.
Let me take comments and come back.
Right, I take a strong exception. No, I take a strong exception to this conduct. You do not do this on big platforms like this.
Sami, that is very focused and wrap up.
No, I'm very focused, but it is important for us to call him to order that you don't do this on programs like this. It is not fair to our viewers. The point I'm making here is that you have increased the public debt of Ghana by 50 billion Ghana cedis with very little to show for on the ground. The money that we contracted was what we used for the construction of the 400-bed Ridge Hospital, the 620-bed University of Ghana Medical Center,
the Ghana Maritime Authority Hospital, the Bank of Ghana Hospital, the many road projects and the infrastructure projects we undertook in the health sector, the education sector, the community, secondary schools.
Sammy, let's take comments and come back. Johnny has just joined us. Johnny, good morning once again.
Thank you very
Let's take
much.
comments and come back. Johnny is with us. Let us take comments and come back.
Of course, we'll pick the comments now.
Gentlemen, that's okay. That's okay. Let's take some comments and come back. Okay. Johnny, good morning once again.
Good morning, thank you. It says, hello TV3, I'm enjoying your morning show on Newday. Sammy really marries his position. Sammy, keep the fire burning. Regards, PK, RK from his home. Good morning. Kindly ask Sammy where he was when the NDC was going for the CDB loan from China that never materialized, unless we lost more than 300 million for servicing that deal. Or was he in school then? Did the NDC do due diligence? Did the NDC not have the moral capacity to advise this government? Ni Ayi from Osu. Good morning, TV3. Congrats, Sammy Jemfi. You are really loaded with facts about Sino-Hydro agreement, while the MPP is just doing propaganda as usual. Ghana is bleeding indeed. Kofi from Cove City. Hey, Mother Ghana. Sino-Hydro, I thought the MPP government said this deal is not a loan, but rather a barter trade. That how come it's now a loan? If a picture of a project costs $60, then teachers should be paid $120,000. Secondly, I learned about the 80.1 million Ghana cedis disappearing from the special prosecutor's account. Is this true? Sichofe from Hohoi, citizen, not spectator, he says. This Ghana Hydro deal is disgusting. $106,000 for photos, and you're using drones to take the pictures. A classic loot and share contract. Danaba Abdul Rahmani. And Sami JV is very good at communication with great power of understanding. MPP likes good communicators. Sami JV always has a problem to the MPP communicators. All their comments can't stand him. His points are always clear. Nana Ascona. Thank you. Good morning, TV3 and MPP politicians. NDC and MPP politicians are all a bunch of lies. However, MPP is worse. While the NDC creates loots and shares, MPP only loots without creating and sharing. It's pathetic. By the way, the MPP rep on the panel, is he really a pastor? Well, he is. You can't be asking that. Emmanuel writes. And good morning, TV3. Reverend is confusing. He refused the figures of Sami Jemfi, but he does not have any evidence. That is the MPP for you. 2020 is around the corner. I'm Usman from Shukura in Accra. Must we always wait for an election to make a point? I think that's why the politicians take us for granted. Anyway, right, take it over.
We're grateful.
Right. Those who are taking the country for granted. But let me respond to the debt to GDP ratio.
Yes,
right.
Let him respond.
If I can wrap up.
No, you will wrap up. But let Reverend respond.
Extensively, I've listened to my good brother Sami, and I have raised serious doubt on the authenticity of this report.
It's not a parliamentary document,
because we have.
Right. I mean, in the second session of
and I am disputing particularly that page. No. Let me show you that page.
So it's not the entire document, but I think some pages.
No, show me the page.
Let me
show me the page.
I printed it out.
No.
Reverend,
let's
move on.
Television. So show me the page.
Show us the page. Reverend, that's okay. It's not the entire document. He's saying that a page isn't.
So show us that page. So where? Show us.
I pointed it.
Okay, gentlemen, let's move on. Let's move on.
This is the construction.
Okay, let him react. Sammy, I get a chance to react. Reverend, please go on.
Right.
Sammy, allow him to react. Reverend, please go on.
I have pointed to him what he has done to this page. I pointed to him.
You mean he's doctored the page? Is that what you're
suggesting?
Show
us.
Right. Let me tell you.
Show us.
My good brother mentions deaths. You see?
No.
I'm talking about public debt.
Reverend, I
reduced public debt.
Reverend, I don't have all the time.
73%.
What on the page? What on the page do you think is not correct? Let's move on, gentlemen. Let's move on.
Right? Yes.
Gentlemen, let's move on. Gentlemen, please. Let's move on. Gentlemen, please.
65%.
Let's move on.
Put your integrity on the line.
I am grateful.
Show us what I inserted in this document.
Gentlemen, I am grateful. I'm grateful. Gentlemen, I'm grateful for this morning. We have to wrap up the conversation. I am grateful. Let's wrap up our conversation. Let's wrap up our conversation. Sammy, let me give it a chance. We're wrapping up.
This is very pathetic. And I know
Reverend, please allow him to wrap up and let's wrap up our conversation.
Our discerning viewers have taken note of what has happened here. Certainly, I understand his frustrations and the difficulty he has in justifying these ridiculously inflated and outrageous figures. But facts are sacred. I will put my integrity on the line any day, any time. I am daring him to prove to our viewers that anything I have said here is not a fact. Prove to our viewers that I've inserted any sheet of paper in this document. So you see, let us be factual when we are discussing issues like this. My worry and the worry of the suffering masses is that at a time where government is struggling to pay CTAC members, teachers of our colleges of education, their book and research allowance. At the time that government is saying that it doesn't have money to pay for the market premiums of teachers. At the time that government has not paid the youth in afforestation workers for the past 8 months. At the time that government has not paid youth employment workers for the past, 8 months and so on. Government will be allocating these outrageous sums of money.
So please allow him.
Give him a pen and a book and paper to write.
He doesn't need a book.
You learn how to do some of these things. Reverend fathers don't do things like this. You see, at a time where our people are suffering, cost of living is so unbearable, this government is raping and abusing the public purse without any sensitivity to the plight of the ordinary Ghanaian. That is what worries me. We deserve better. This is not what they promised us. They promised that they were going to protect the public purse. We are asking for nothing but value for money. And as apostles of value for money, they should agree with us that these figures are fraudulent. They must bring the figures down and apply the resources of state judiciously. That is all we ask of them.
Yes, I repeat the stance I have always held and reinforce that stand that any cost of projects, any quantities that are raised that are not in congruence with the principles of value for money, I will be the first to raise red flag. And I must put it on record. Since I got here, I haven't even mentioned one figure. All the disputing of the figures my brother mentioned were disputed by Ghana Daily Graphic and Ghanaian Times. That you read. That's you read. So that aside. So he shouldn't.
Yesterday's
so the failed propaganda.
Don't you know that they are 10 laws under the
the failed propaganda should not be blamed on me. The records as has been put by the newspapers have disputed it. Again, my brother mentions afforestation. Anyone whose salary who was not employed for the past 6 years, we have come and employed them. That he has made allusion to, and their salaries are outstanding. I will plead with the authorities to ensure that we pay them and pay them promptly, so that we don't repeat the narratives of people employed 3 years without salary, 3 years without allowance. That narrative would not even have together. So the few months arrears they must pay. And I must conclude.
Are you going to use satellites?
I must conclude.
Tell us something.
I can see you are very interested in photography. I can see you are interested in. I'm not a photographer. I'm an engineer.
1 billion for photography.
That's on the lighter side. Talking about that,
you have no shame.
If economically speaking, I know my brother is a lawyer. Economically speaking, you see, we have economics, we have law, we have engineering. You see, that to GDP ratio is always put in a context. Reverend,
I am grateful.
To 65%. That is brilliant.
He's a member of parliament for the Asin South constituency. He's a member of the NPP. Sami Jeff is the national communications officer of the NDC. They just shook hands, except that you didn't say it. I am grateful you joined us. Stay with us.
Welcome. It's Chamber here on TV3 Newday, and we're talking to lawyer Bernard Oredu Donko. Chief, good morning. Thank you very much for your time. Today, we want to talk about a very special issue that's very touchy indeed. Issue of rent, because we know we have housing deficits in this country. How we're managing to solve that is another question. But then you find people having to become tenants of others, renting their edifices or places of abode and making that their home. Is it an easy task? First of all, I know you have your own set of issues. You can always join us on WhatsApp and on Twitter. So with your questions and comments, and we'll share them with the rest of the wonderful world. Counsel, I can imagine how many cases of rent issues have come before you in the last few months or years.
A lot. I mean,
what is the state of it now? Are people comfortable or are they not?
Well, what has actually happened is you get a lot of cases with landlords trying to induce tenants to quit because somebody has come to offer a higher amount as rent, and they believe that they're always for the highest bidder. So most of the issues we are getting now usually is about a landlord who has been offered a higher amount than what an existing tenant is paying, and trying to use all means and avenues to get that particular tenant out to bring in the new one.
Right.
So most of it have been, you don't get the right things as a tenant, maybe your electricity supply, a lot of them very diverse. I mean, just to get you to leave and say, I'm tired. Frustration. Just take your room, let me go in peace. Because another person wants to pay higher.
What is the position of the law on that? I signed an agreement with you, even though the law says don't engage in a contract for more than 6 months. Yeah. I signed a deal with you for 2 years.
It's a payment of rent, which should not be more than 6 months. But the contract could exceed.
Right.
Yes,
so I'm saying that I signed a deal with you.
Yes.
I'm paying you in installments. Yeah. But even though the law says so, I pay you 2 years upfront.
Yes.
What will necessitate you frustrating me to leave before 2 years?
What I've observed is that we've had a lot of foreigners moving in, especially students. And when they come, they offer higher prices. I mean, more than the ordinary Ghanaian could afford and pay. So mostly they come with foreign currencies, and our people, our landlords, their eyes are red, they want to take the monies. But actually, it is illegal. It is actually an offense to even induce a tenant to quit. But usually they will tell you that, well, we're going to do renovations, we are going to do this, so we need a room for somebody. The next time you see is a foreigner. So it's the influx of foreigners. It is actually affecting tenant issues in Ghana because they are ready and they are willing to pay more than the ordinary Ghanaian pays.
Oftentimes when we talk about rent, then we're talking about accommodation. But then there's also the part of rent that looks at offices and shops.
Commercial
exactly.
Yes.
And I've had occasion from Community Connect to have had complaints from the Central Business District where they talk about the issue of foreigners that you're talking about. Again, I ask, what is the position of the law? If somebody is misbehaving, a landlord is misbehaving, where do I take the person to?
You see, we need to understand the basics of tenancy. Basically, it's a contract between the tenants and the landlord.
Offer, acceptance, consideration.
Basically, all the essentials of contract are there because you need to see the room, you need to give the landlord the offer, he needs to accept. So with every contract, there are T's and C's, there are terms and conditions. So what I would add, when you are negotiating for a tenancy, make sure that the conditions and the terms you negotiate for are such that they protect you. Because you see, the moment you agree for certain conditions to prevail as a tenant, as a landlord, they are binding on you. Just that we have laws and regulations that make some inroads into tenancy agreement. But basically, the first and foremost thing is what the contractual agreement says.
You don't have a place to lay your head. We have a deficit on accommodation.
Over 1.7 million.
Then you find somebody who says, I'm willing to give you my space. And you come as a tenant and you want to call the shots.
You need to
negotiate. You will sleep outside.
No, you see, the truth is that you need it. You are in need of the building. But you need to negotiate the terms and conditions because you just can't bump into somebody and decide to live in his room or his apartment without the person giving you conditions. So if today the person gets up and said that I want my room because of A, B, and C, where'd you go to? Where'd you resort to? But if you have a contractual agreement in terms of the tenancy agreement, at least that is the first point of call. If you situate that with the laws of Ghana, then you could say, okay, this is my remedy, this is what is available for me. But if you just don't have anything and you just moved into somebody's apartment, just as you moved in, the person could just move you. So first and foremost, at least get a contractual agreement, a tenancy agreement. Sign something and negotiate your terms and conditions. Let the person know that for you, you are not the type who likes noise. So you wouldn't want to live here with, because you are going to pay money. There's adequate consideration. So make sure that at least you negotiate for good terms and conditions for your stay.
I live in a house, for example. I go and find an apartment where the landlord says, every month I would want to come and inspect the room, even though I'm living there, because I don't want you to puncture the wall. I don't want you to install anything I haven't given you permission to install. Is that right?
If you agree and put it in the contract between yourself and the landlord, it is right. as long as and to the extent that you have agreed. But you see, when you come in as a tenant, the law requires that we call quiet possession. You enjoy the possession of the house or the occupancy of the house. So unnecessary visits and all those things, the laws do frown on them. But the landlord, to a very large extent, has the right to inspect his properties, to inspect the rooms he's giving to you. Because remember that if you take a room from somebody and you don't treat the room well, what we call, you abate the quality, the landlord has the right to repossess his room. So because of that, it is inherent. If I have the right to repossess my room, if you're not treating it properly, inherent in that will be my right to inspect. Because I would have to inspect it before I need to know whether you are treating my property right or my room correct. So definitely the landlord has the power. He has the right to inspect, but not necessarily. He can't just be barging into you just like that.
So then I live in a compound house. And the room has been hired to me, but then I have frequent visits from all manner of people, my friends, my family, and the landlord is not happy about it. Do I lose my right to socialize if I become a tenant?
You see, then again, like I said, there's a contract between you and the landlord. Spell out, disclose that this is you. Sell yourself out to the person you are going to rent the room from. This is the job I do. I meet people frequently. I meet friends. I'm the social type. People come to me, we eat and drink in the apartment. If he agrees, then probably you put it in your contractual agreement. But if you do anything such that it causes so much inconvenience to co-tenants and the landlord, it may be a reason.
So at the time we were doing the negotiation, this didn't come up. But when I came to live in the area, after 6 months, I made new friends. They thought that, well, visiting me should be the order of the day because every week we go to somebody's home to go and have a party. And so maximum 3 weeks, every 3 weeks, you find people congregating in my room to have fun. Should the landlord have a problem with that?
You see, when you go live in a house, you need to know that probably you are there because you are a tenant, not a landlord. So you don't have to put acts or put up behavior which would inconvenience others. You see, just as a contract has its terms and conditions, it can be terminated upon the happenings of certain things as well. Because, for instance, if your landlord thinks that this act you're putting up is so inconvenient for me, I mean, it's causing me a lot of problems, and it is not, for instance, maybe, like you say, you're the social type, you go rent a big speakers, you are zooming and booming, enjoying what your landlord can say, it is affecting the structure, so move out of my house. And he has a right to do that. So, in fact, basically, tenancy is a contract. So negotiate the terms of the contract. And me, what I advise
people
to do...
Who has more power, the landlord or the tenant?
It depends. Because you see, there are some people who have just put up houses just for rent. And for them, when they rent it out, that's when they get their money. So when you come in to rent, they see you as a customer and they need to treat you well. But there are some too who live in their houses and their empty rooms and people just want to come. So it depends, depending on the situation. So sometimes the rent... the landlord may have an upper hand because of probably the pressure on the tenants, or the tenants may have the other hand because there are some people who are the only people who can pay some amount of money. Because maybe it's an apartment somewhere, as not everybody who can afford. So when somebody walks in and shows up with that kind of money, definitely as a landlord, you need to treat the person well. But mostly, it is the landlords.
I get into an apartment. We agree that these are the terms. I get in first month, second month, I'm not seeing the specific performance on the side of the landlord. Can I move out? Can I demand for a refund and move out?
Definitely, like you said.
How early can I get a refund and move out?
You see, once there's a breach of a requirement of the contract or a requirement of law, it empowers the party who has been offended to seek remedial law. So if you go to court and say that, yes, I am a tenant in this particular room, but because of A, B, and C, I want these orders from the court. The court will give you those orders. And basically, when courts give orders, it should be enforced within a reasonable time.
Finally, where would you put the agents who come promising milk and honey, and demanding their pound of flesh?
Yes. You see, if the rent officers were to do their work well, we shouldn't have these agents around.
They are not doing their work?
Yes, because you see, if you should walk to a rent office right now, you should have access to all vacant accommodation in that particular area. Because that is what they are mandated to do, to keep a register.
The rent control office?
Yes, the rent control office in the district assemblies and in the towns. They need to keep a register of vacant rooms, but they have failed to do that.
Why are they not doing that?
Probably they don't have the resources to do all this because they are required by law So you can walk into any rent office in a district and ask for vacant room register. They are supposed to keep a register by law.
Okay.
But once they don't do that, agents have moved in.
Right.
And they will take the agency fee. You see, it is not illegal to act as an agent and take agency fee.
Okay.
It depends on the amount they charge, whether it's unconscionable,
10% of the total rent. That's what I hear goes
If they do 10% when the rent is just 1 year, it's illegal. Because they are just supposed to do 5 or less than 5 for a rent of a year.
Okay.
So when they do the 10% for 2 years, then they are within the remit.
Okay.
But if they do 10% for less
year.
than
2 years.
less than
That's
2
12
years,
months.
that is illegal. But they can take agency fee of not more than 5% for yearly rent.
I see. Well, we could go on and on and on. The housing deficit is a problem. We have a Ministry for Works and Housing,
yes,
right?
We do.
I don't know what they do, actually, if you ask me.
Well, for me, I think we are also part of the problem. Because
why are we part of it?
Most of the apartments they put up, they are empty because of the rent fee. You know, because you move around places like Chado, the new areas.
But if you say you're taking my money to build affordable housing, and me, the one you took the money from, I can't afford it, does it make sense?
I think governments should really take up housing because it's a big social issue.
Great. Lawyer Bernard Oredudonko, thank you very much for your time. And that's all for Chamber. Coming up shortly on your screens, the GMB 2018 Queens will be in studio. We'd like to find out from them what the mood and feeling was on their final night as all 4 of them garnered for the coveted crown, the cash, the car, and all the issues in between. But I'm sure we want to take a trip around town and find out the measurement for Christmas. Stay with us. There's more here on Newday. Welcome back and thank you very much. Behind me is Tilapia's own creation. And guess what? He's talking about on the 12th day of Christmas, there was no salary. I'm sure you remember the UT Capital Bank collapse and the subsequent absorption by the Ghana Commercial Bank. Says, our exit pay, empty pocket in this festive season, no easy. And collapsed UT and Capital Bank workers, that's them, with a mother with a baby strapped to his back. And the baby is asking, Mama, my bronya shoe. The last man is so desolate, he's actually lost. And he's not wearing any footwear. The first man has a chalawati, the second one. So they lost their crunchia. They've loosened their ties, rolled up their sleeves. A clear case of frustration. And that's the governor of the Bank of Ghana behind the big table. So empty plates, pressure they town, if you ask me. Okay, so turn on to now happy times. And Ghana's most beautiful crowned its queen last Sunday at the National Theatre, the 9th of December. It's been 2 clear days after. We want to find out how the ladies are feeling after the grand finale. I've been joined by the reigning queen, Abena of the Eastern region, the first runner-up, Ohema of the Bonafri region, and the second runner-up, Wekia of the Upper East region. Ladies, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing? Can we get a queenly wave, everybody? All right. What's inside this? Why do people do this? Why?
You're waving.
You're waving. That's how the queens wave.
Yeah.
I see. Is the crown heavy?
Yeah, it's very heavy.
Okay. But you like it? It's nice. Yes. Okay, I see. How does it feel to be wearing a crown?
Can I be honest?
Yes, be honest.
I'm just neutral.
You're just neutral.
But I feel I'm having a lot of responsibilities now.
Okay.
So I have to fulfill them.
What kind of responsibilities do you feel?
Oh my God. Right now, I'm wearing the whole Ghana on my head.
Okay.
And I have to embark on my projects.
Okay.
And make sure the life of others are better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see. For both of you, and I'll start with Ohema, for both of you, you were hoping to become the main queen. Now you're first runner-up. Does this stop you from initiating and sustaining your project?
No.
Okay.
I don't think it has to because I made a promise to my people before I got here. So I'm not going back on my promise.
Portia? Sorry, Wekia.
Thank you. Not wearing the crown doesn't mean it's going to stop me from doing what I want to do. Of course, instead, it's actually going to make me do greater things.
Okay.
With the help of people, we would blow the mind of Ghanaians.
You will, certainly. Let's get off the official thing and talk about the reality. You lived in a house, the reality house, for complete 12, 13, 14 weeks. Who was the most resourceful? Who was the most laziest? Who slept most? Who cooked worse? I want to know. It's time to let the cat out of the bag.
Let me answer.
Okay. Okay.
I slept most.
You slept most?
She gave in.
She gave in. Okay. Who cooked best?
Nah
cooked best.
Yes.
Who liked to wash or to
Tewa.
clean? Tewa liked to wash. Yes. Who liked to clean?
Tewa.
Tewa as well.
Yes.
Okay, so Tewa on 2 points. No, you're not sure.
Clean.
Clean.
Yes,
sweeping the place.
Tewa doing that.
Tewa is it. Who was the laziest of all the 10 queens we put in the house?
Lazy in terms of what?
Lazy in terms of not partaking in anything. The bully comes up, you are not ready to go and exercise.
Okay, yes. She's always saying to
people.
Okay, with the bully thing, morning aerobics.
Okay.
I'm involved. Adipa is worse.
Okay.
So myself, Adipa, Abna, and Afra.
Okay.
Afra is very good. Afra
How can you forget no?
Jifa too
was the most energetic.
Yes.
Which for you, Ohima, was your toughest task during the weeks, or the 14 weeks? Which was your toughest?
Stage performances.
Yes. In terms of preparation,
the African
scripting.
week.
The African week. Yeah. You did what?
I was a goli dancer.
Okay, and was tough for you.
It was tough for everybody.
But you got the most exciting performer then.
Yes.
Right.
But it was tough, the preparation and everything. It was like, we don't know what we are doing. We are representing different countries.
Okay.
But it was so tough.
And you have not been there before?
No.
So you're just researching and rehearsing.
With me and my French.
You should see her during that week. Hi, Ohima should.
I'll just
return in French.
Yes,
okay. Ça va, très bien. Toi, les-vous, okay. Which was your most exciting, Ohima?
The fashion night.
The fashion night, yes. You enjoyed it. Of course, you won the best model on the night.
No, best evening gown and then casual wear.
Okay, but on the night of the final, you won the best model.
Yes.
Great, congratulations to you as well.
Thank you.
Which was your most tough, most difficult week?
African week.
The African week also
yes,
for you?
Yes.
Not the cooking night?
No.
Okay.
It wasn't.
Not the opening night as well?
I rather enjoyed the opening night.
Okay.
With the fashion week. I went on stage to actually enjoy myself.
Okay.
And I think the talent night, I enjoyed myself to the fullest.
Okay, I see. Because you were dancing.
I was dancing.
Abna, how about you?
I love to choreograph.
The night of tradition.
Okay, that was your most difficult one.
Yes, when they told us that was the next task, I just prayed and said, I don't want puberty right.
Okay. Why didn't you want it?
That's me.
Okay.
Anytime I'm going on stage, I need to enjoy what I'm doing first before I can make people enjoy. So the moment I'm not into it, I cannot produce well.
Okay.
So I said to myself, when it came, it was actually puberty right. So I wasn't enjoying what I was doing in the first place. Okay. And I didn't even enjoy what I did on stage.
Okay. But we didn't get that sense. We thought that you enjoyed yourself. Which was your most exciting? Tell me.
The debate nights and mentor with the
with the little kids, the mentor and proteges. Yes. You enjoyed those
really
two.
Enjoyed myself.
I see. The weeks run so quickly and so fast. What is it, that single thing that you remember from GMB 2018, Ohima?
The lessons?
Yes, the key lessons that you picked from the episodes.
Perseverance.
Perseverance. And what made you learn that?
Because it hasn't been easy. It wasn't easy from day one.
Okay.
And then sometimes you want to give up, but then you remember that you promised your people to be successful.
Okay.
So you have to persevere, go all out, and bring out the best.
I see. Wekia, which was your most striking lesson that you got on the show?
To think on my feet.
Think on your feet.
Yes. Because after a Sunday performance, Monday morning, you think you have enough time to rest. And all of a sudden, your producers are here. They're bringing another topic to to work on, and on Tuesday you're expected to produce something.
Okay.
So I think that has really helped me to think on my feet.
Okay. Yeah. The speed with which it comes. Yeah. Abena?
Determination, hardworking, and how to take criticism.
I see. 3. Tough. Let's talk about evictions. Eviction nights.
My call.
That's your call. You were always up for eviction.
Forever.
Why?
My votes.
Your votes were not coming up.
Yes,
okay.
at a point my votes were down.
Okay.
And then I think at a point I lost focus.
You lost focus as well?
Yes, I lost focus, and then, yeah, maybe that's
why did you lose focus? Because people thought that you were a forerunner in this competition. People thought that you had what it takes to annex the crown. So you lost focus. Why?
I don't know. I heard people say it was complacency.
Yeah, okay.
But then it wasn't.
It wasn't?
I don't think so. I think it wasn't something that I could control.
Okay. Okay. At some point you just lost focus. Was it because the number of times you had come up for eviction was too frequent, or that you had seen some good people leave the house and you thought that, well, it could be me next time? So
I just can't explain.
Did you give up at some point?
No.
You didn't give up?
Never.
I see. Wekia, how about you? Evictions? You were up a few times.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was always nervous. I don't know. Eviction can come to you at any time.
Okay.
From judging from this year's Ghana's Most Beautiful, the competition has been really tough.
Okay.
And anyone can get evicted. And the funny thing is, we don't really get to see our votes.
Right.
And now, here's the case, it's 70-30.
Okay.
Now, you don't get to see your vote. And am I topping? Are my votes up there? Are they down? You see, so I think I was up for eviction twice or 3 times.
That's right, 3 times. I remember.
3 times.
Yeah, that's right.
Up for eviction 3 times. So then we are on equal.
You are equal. Okay. Abena, evictions. Did you ever think that you were going to go through to become the queen? First of all, let me ask you that.
Yes.
You thought. At what point did it hit you that, look, now the road is clear. This is mine.
From the day I came for auditions.
But Ohima, you said Ohima was your toughest competition.
I never said she was.
She is not.
I said she is good.
She is good.
Yes.
But she is not. You didn't see her as a competition.
No.
Are you being honest?
So honest.
So honest.
Anytime I had an interview and they asked me who was my competition, I told them I'm not having. Not because I thought I was too good, but because I wasn't focusing on that.
Okay.
Although you were in a competition, I didn't see myself to be in a competition. Mine was to go on stage, deliver, and give her the best.
Okay, so you were having fun.
Yes.
When you came up for eviction, how did you feel knowing that, well, you were the monarch of all you surveyed? How did you feel?
I thought I was up for eviction. That was the first eviction.
Right.
And I wasn't scared during that time. So apart from that day, I wasn't up for eviction again.
I see. Question night. An answer session on GMB finals. What happened? It looks like all of you repeated the questions that I put to you before you answered them. Were you buying time?
I didn't.
Well, everybody did. Maybe you don't remember, but everybody did.
I remember I thanked everybody, and then I greeted the dignitaries there, and then I answered my question.
Okay, because nearly everybody repeated the question. Everybody, you put the question. Then
yes,
something
I
did. You did. Everybody did. Maybe you're not watching. I mean, in fact, you actually said fabulous. Then you said never say die.
Yeah.
So in the heat of the moment,
it's phobia.
Yeah, you can. But you sang the phobia song and you said fab. What was the stage really hot on that night? Was it hot?
Honestly, it wasn't for me.
It wasn't for you. Did you have butterflies in your tummy?
No.
Not at all?
No.
So there was no excitement for you on that night?
There was.
Okay.
Looking at the crowd.
Okay.
And then the dignitaries that came to support me.
Okay. Behind the stage, while you were there, when I put a question to the crowd, who's going to wear the crown? And I mentioned your names and the screams came up. What was the feeling like in your heart?
Oh, I was so touched.
Okay.
Because I realized I was having a lot of people supporting me.
Okay.
So this actually encouraged me to do more.
Okay.
Because I can't afford to disappoint people
right.
who bought ticket 50 cedis to come and watch me. and then with their high hopes, I just disappointed.
You could dash them. Wakia, the question and answer session. What happened?
I don't know. I think I did my best.
Okay.
I think I did my best.
You did your best.
Yes.
Ladies, I wish you all the best. That's all time will allow us. But congratulations to Yabna, to you, Ohima, and to you, Ekia. And do us proud while you are out there. So the car will be given to you shortly.
Yes, I'm taking it to Jumapo.
Where would you take your first ride? I'm curious.
Jumapo.
Jumapo, you drive straight to Jumapo and take a drive around the town. I see you'll be cruising. Anyway, we'll take a break at this point. When we return, there's a big... Okay, we're wrapping up the show, I'm told. Well, that's how the cookie crumbles today. But just as I mentioned to you earlier, the insurance companies, we're beginning to get reports from about some of you that the packages have matured. You promised to pay and you have not paid. We are watching. The stories are ready. We may publish shortly. On that note, Tuesday is ended. Have a great day. Know that if you can think it and your heart can believe it, only you can achieve it. My name is Johnny Hughes on behalf of Bright, Amma, and the rest of the team. Have a good morning.